This year, it's Snow White that gets the panto treatment at the Joburg Theatre. We're getting a sneak peek with Kiruna-Lind Devar, who plays Snow White, Tshepo Ncokoane, who's Prince Charming, and the play's executive producer, Bernard J. A very good morning to you, and thank you so much for joining us. A childhood story that we have all been following. But let me start with you, Bernard. When we talk about the pantomime, what are we talking about, and how's it different from other theatre productions?
It's a tradition that has been going on for hundreds of years in Britain, in the UK. And Johannesburg, the Joburg Theatre, is the only theatre outside of Britain, believe it or not, that has had this tradition. Now it's 31st year.
Sure.
It's a festive season, end of the year, great big musical production, lots of spectacle, lots of humour, both for the kids and the adults, lots of music, but the tradition is that it's based on a fairy tale. So in the end, every pantomime, the story is about good versus evil, and it's always there. In this case, the good is sitting next to me. You know?
The good that some girls growing up, I speak for self, maybe the biggest lie we've ever been sold, that there is Prince Charming, but he's in studio today, so there is some truth to it. Tshepo, you play Prince Charming in this play. Tell us about what it takes and the preparation that actually goes behind all of this.
So, I mean, I was just telling Bernard this morning how I'm still getting used to, the screams of it all when we, appear on stage and we start singing and, the girls are swooning, and just that whole exchange of energy has been a lot of fun. And I think it's very important, just like you said, as we came onto the link, you said now onto some better news or some more joyous news. I think it's just so good to be a part of something giving good news to the world. And I think that's what Prince Charming is doing and restoring for a lot of our hearts, because unfortunately we are in the fatherless generation and all of that. So I think the idea that there is a Prince Charming waiting for you and that we all find love at the end of the day and that happiness always comes round is it's a great honor.
Love always wins.
Love always wins.
Karuna, the damsel in distress that has a whole Prince Charming to come and rescue her. Let's talk about your character, and you've got the 7 dwarfs with you? Oh, great. So it comes with everything.
I have my gorgeous little dwarfs, and, Snow White is such a beautiful character to play because she is so good. And the wonderful thing is the way that she's been written is that she has a lot more gumption and a lot more kind of, she's very feisty in terms of how she goes about things, and she is very good at heart, but she will always make sure that the truth and what's right prevails. And I think that's very important, and I think it's quite cool that she's not your normal princess. She's not your normal damsel in distress, because she doesn't feel like she needs to be saved. And I think that's great, and that's also a really nice model for little girls to look up to. And I think that's really, really great. So it's been awesome coming to know her and to play her.
Beautiful. What's also very interesting is the design of the costumes. I mean, you guys are going all out. Tell us more about that. How long would it actually even take you to get into something like this?
10 seconds.
Really?
Yes.
It's that fast.
It's all rigged to make it very easy to get in and out of. And that's, I think, also one of the magical things about theatre, is that these things are so elaborate and so big, and then there's all these nifty little tricks to make it look like magic when you change into something else.
I'm sure that's something that the kids just go absolutely wild for. Even some adults.
Well, this sort of adult still goes wild.
Bernard, why Snow White? You could have chosen any other play.
There are 7 or 8 titles that really of the most famous fairy tales that get done. So each year you plan ahead, and you can revive a title maybe every 7 or 8 years. But in this case, I have to say, Janice, Honeyman, who is the reason, I think, for the success of our pantomimes, she writes and directs them, and she is a wonderful, wonderful storyteller, and she loves Snow White. So she's always, it's her favourite pantomime. The first one she ever did 31 years ago was Snow White. So she's always saying to me as the producer, oh, let's put in Snow White again, can we? And she enjoys it, and I think we all enjoy it. But the success of the pantomime here at Joburg Theatre is all about Janice Honeyman, I think.
And I was just going to ask what has contributed to 31 years of pantomime success in this country?
Yes, it's an extraordinary how it's just become a tradition. And, you know, I touch wood somewhere. I mean, as the producer, you very much want to sell tickets. And each year, 60 to 65,000 people come and see the show. It's a long run for South Africa. We do 8 weeks, 9 performances a week.
Sure.
Today they have 3 performances after this interview.
Well, what does that take?
So I have a tradition. I've done a couple of pantos with Bernard, and so my thing is straight after the first show, I trot over to Neighbour Goods Market, I buy about 4 or 5 desserts, and that sugar just keeps me going for the day, because I will burn it off on stage.
Yes, I love that. That's always the best trick. Dessert makes everything
Everything works
okay. It
after
makes
dessert.
everything okay.
Yes.
Kiruna, your rituals?
Well, my first panto, I just used to eat in between shows,
It's
and then I
okay.
used to like just chill and nap in between the second and third show.
You guys are pros, eh? You just like chill and nap and you eat
You
in
just gotta
between.
do the things, you know.
Right. Bernard, what to expect? I think we know the story of Snow White, but it hasn't really been told, or it's different when you see it being told on theatre, especially South African productions. We're right up there competing with like internationals when it comes to our theatre.
A lot of laughter, a lot of fun, and a lot of diversification into other stories. You know, we don't keep traditionally to the Snow White story. We take huge liberties to give people fun and put in new characters. And of course, there's the evil queen. You have to have the evil queen in Snow White. And of course, in the end, good wins out over evil. But on the way, we take the audience onto some quite amazing journeys. And this year, we've got something totally new as a surprise in the second act. It goes on for about 7 minutes. I'm not going to say much more about it to your viewers, but the school audiences this week we've been playing to have just gone crazy because we take the audience with the actors on a journey in the middle of a second act. And you have to come see it to understand it. But so far, it looks like it's a very successful thing to do. So it's the story of Snow White with a lot of fun and craziness in between.
Sure. Tshepo, I'd like to explore the working relationship between you guys. It seems like you have an amazing working relationship, but we know that sometimes you can have draconian directors who expect this. What is Bernard like behind the scenes? What does he expect of you guys?
You know, like I said, I have to come back now onto my third pantomime, and it's Kiruna's second. And I think just as you change producers over your career and you learn about the different energies, you know where home is. And I mean, we know the staff at the Joburg Theatre. We literally, they know our names. The
Your
security
family.
guys, yes. So there's been that kind of familial energy and familial work approach when working with Bernard. You always feel so taken care of, and he's known as the producer who looks after his people. So for me, when that kind of reputation precedes your producer, and you then get contracted by it and experience it for yourself, it becomes such a great thing to then always be able to come back to.
And this is why we're celebrating 31 years.
And that's how we've gotten to 31 years. Yes, exactly.
Kiruna, let's talk to everybody that's thinking, should I even go watch it? What would you say?
Yes, go and watch it. Definitely. I would say you must go and watch the pantomime. It's always a magical experience, and I think this one in particular has a heart, has such a huge heart, and it is just completely magical. And I mean, we are surrounded by fiercely talented people on that stage, and I think like sharing the stage with people that you can learn from and be with, it's an incredible experience, and I know that energy that we are all feeling, this mutual respect, translates into something that the audience can see, and also like the wonderful thing about the panto is that it reminds you of your childlike wonderment, and you know, like most trips to the theatre, you are taken on this incredible adventure, but the panto always reminds you of all those dreams and all those wishes and childlike memories that all fairy tales bring into your life. So
and it's running until the 23rd.
The 23rd,
December.
So such a treat. Every single day, there's no reason not to go watch it, and again and again and again.
You have 9 chances a week.
Right, there you go.
Monday and Tuesday.
Thank you
very
so much
for joining us this morning. Can't wait to see the magic that you guys actually
We can't wait to have you
on stage. Thank you very much. Tshepo Ncokoane, who plays Prince Charming, Kiruna-Lind Devar, who plays Snow White, and of course Bernard J, the executive producer of the show. Appreciate your time this morning.